Hey everybody, it's me Stacy here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Hello. Welcome to today's In the Studio with Stacy class, where we take fine art, we take paper crafting, we put them together and we make magic happen. This is a series of classes for all types of makers. Whether you are a paper crafter who might be a little fine art curious, or you're a fine artist and you just want to see what somebody else is doing with fine art product that's a little out of your norm. If you are just starting in paper crafting, this is the first class you've ever taken. Yes, this is a great class for you. And if you're like me, you've been crafting since, let's say dirt, you're gonna find something in this class too. As a brand ambassador for Royal Talens, I take classes, I take art classes, and I learn about the product, and then I get to come share it with you from a paper crafter's perspective. I don't do what most fine artists do with the product. I do something completely different because as a paper crafter, I see the product completely different. And that's really exciting because that means artists out there who are tuning in may be looking at these classes going, I never really thought to do that with this product. I know it as its intended use, but now I see that I can do something else with it. And paper crafters who are wanting to explore a little bit and stretch a little bit, or want to use a higher caliber of product than what we find in the paper crafting world, you will see just how easy this stuff is to work with. It is amazing. Every month I pick one type of product, just one type of product, and for the entire month we use it again and again and again. Usually my first week of classes for the month is more of an educational class, why, what, where, how, when of the product. How did it come to be? When did it come to be? Why did it come to be? The why nots of it, the how comes of it. And so usually the first week is more educational, and then the following weeks of the month are more application. And last week we did a little bit of both because this is my second year doing In the Studio with Stacy. I started in January last year with Ecoline markers. But last year I did not know as much as I know this year. Oh my gosh, I've had a whole year of education with Royal Talens. So now I can take these markers and do even more with them, which is where definitely class 3 and class 4 is going to amp up. It's going to amp up a lot. Today I kept it kind of generic, but next week and the week after are wow classes, I'm telling you. So we started in January last year with the Ecolines, and we were just selling the sets. We had the 10-pack sets and you got 10 markers in them. And this year we finally have all the colors open stock. I was able to save up and bring in all the colors open stock. And what we found is that as we were comparing open stock to the sets that we sold, the sets that everybody sells, is that there were 17 colors that weren't in any sets. I'm like, hello, where have these 17 colors been? How come I didn't know about them? Why wouldn't they have sets that have every color represented between all the sets? But that's not for me to worry about. All I know is that there were 17 colors that we now have in open stock that aren't in any of the Ecoline brush marker sets. So last week we did a little bit of history again on the Ecoline markers and Royal Talens being around from 1899, and that the liquid Ecolines launched about 1930, but the markers not until about, I think, 2016. And we did some swatching, and I only had 14 of the colors. I knew something was wrong. So I swatched out the 14 colors that nobody's ever seen before at Scrapbooking Made Simple, only to go back and say, I just feel like there's missing colors. And I was right. I found them. 3. There's 3. There's the 17 colors. So we're going to swatch these out today just quickly. And then this class, again, I'm going to kind of keep it simple because I want every level of crafter to feel like they can do this. I want them to feel like this is accessible. You're just using a better quality product. Fine art does not equate to your talent level. If it did, I would not be a brand ambassador for Royal Talens. Fine art speaks to the quality of product that you're using. And these are beautiful dye-based brush tip watercolor markers that have a liquid watercolor. Every color that we have, and we have all 60, has a matching liquid watercolor that you can use on its own, or you can use it to refill these markers. It's pretty cool. So today I'm going to swatch out these last 3 for you super quick so you can see them. And then we are going to move into a little bit of stamping and a little bit of playing with the colors. And like I said, next week we are absolutely amping it up. The next 2 weeks we'll be using cyanotype product. I don't know if you know what cyanotype product is. And we're going to be pulling our modeling pastes back in. I'm pretty sure we're going to be pulling our modeling pastes back in. So I want to tilt down. I want to get started for today. Again, this is year 2. So there is a playlist on the Scrapbooking Made Simple YouTube channel for In the Studio with Stacy. And you can go back to January of last year, watch all the classes on Ecoline Brush Markers, and then come and watch the classes for this year, so that when I'm all said and done, there'll be 8 full classes on Ecoline markers. Oh my gosh. February, we move into a different product. So I love having this time to really dive in deep into the different types of fine art products that Royal Talens has, because then not only are you learning about better quality product, you're seeing all the different applications that you can do with them. And maybe week 1 or week 2, you're like, but maybe week 4, I show you something that you hadn't thought of or seen before, and all of a sudden it becomes exciting to you. So I'm going to tilt down. We're going to get started for today. Again, I'm going to swatch out those last 3 colors so you can see them. I knew we were missing colors. I put the last 3 colors on their own I Want It All bundle. So if you already purchased the first 14 colors, you don't have to worry. You don't have to go back and try and purchase another 17 bundle. We're going to do the I Want It Alls the last week that we did, or the one we did last week for the 14 colors, and then we'll just add a new I Want It All bundle for this week. The markers usually retail for, I think, $5.50, maybe a little bit more, and we have them on sale for $3.99, which for paper crafting, that's a good price just for a paper crafting marker. But this is so much better, the quality, the standard, because fine artists use this globally. They use these markers, so they have to be of that type of standard. That's what makes fine art fine art. All right, I'm going to tilt down. We're going to get started for today. I am using my mixed media paper by Van Gogh. We're going to be playing with that. That's the paper I'm going to be using today. And it's good to see everybody. I hope you are live chatting. If you are with me during the premiere of our class, which is 5 p.m. sunny California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a live chat going on. I am my own camera person, so we just kind of do the best we can. And let's see. All right, so I've got some of my mixed media paper down, and I'm gonna do just a couple quick swatches for you, just so you can see. I'm working on my Jelly Arts gel plate because it holds my paper down, and it doesn't matter if it gets wet or it gets ink on it. I can just wipe it right off. It's really nice. Now, how could I have just lost that? Is that possible? It's got to be here somewhere, right? I'm working with maker's tape. Well, maybe. Oh, wait. Found it. I have to go back and get my little washi tape holders. A couple years ago, some very, very nice customers sent me some washi tape holders that they got from, is it Daiso? And that way you don't lose your little ends. I'm gonna have to go get those out of my other room. All right, so I'm just gonna do 3. So those of you who are looking for the open stock colors, because there is no way you have these in a set. They weren't available. The first color I'm going to be working with is our 601. And I want you to see just how easily these colors work together, or work. I've got my, maybe I scooch over just a little bit. Or maybe I go back just a little bit. I want to have that. Maybe I go back just a little bit. Well, maybe a little bit more. So I've only got a little 2-inch viewfinder, so I can't actually see what you're seeing. So I want a little bit of water because I'm going to get them wet. And make sure that my brush is clean. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to color. So I'm just going to add some color. So you do have a brush tip. They're not alcohol based, they are a dye based. That means they're not light fast at all. Less than 10 years. And light fast means how long, if I left this in the sun, how long would it take for it to fade? A pigment based ink will take anywhere from 10 to 100 years depending on how light fast it is. But a dye based ink doesn't have really any light fastness to it. So you can't really think about it being light fast. So I've colored some color. And then I can go in and I can just move that color down. Now, unlike a watercolor marker, I can do a wet on wet application. So I can come in and go right on top of what I've just gotten wet. I don't have to wait. And I can smooth that on out. The more water I use, the lighter my color is going to be. Look at how light. See, I can even pick up color. Look at that. It's up to me what I want to do. If I want to put more down, I don't have to wait for anything. I can just go. So here's my 601. And I think 601 is a, I forget what it's called. It's a something, well, it's a green, and I think this is deep green. This is 602. So these 3 colors I didn't get to show you last week. They're just easy to use, very forgiving. And let you intensify the color or desaturate the color depending on how much water you use. Now, the paper you use is going to make a difference because paper that has sizing in it means that that paper has an additive to it that allows the moisture, the water to absorb, or the liquid to absorb much slower, giving you open time. If you have paper that doesn't have any sizing built into it, well, the ink gets put right on top. See, I can go right on and look at it, just blends away. It is amazing that I can just right on top, wet on wet. Watercolor pencils, no can do. And a lot of watercolor markers from the paper crafting industry will leave scratches. So if you go wet on wet, you'll be able to tell where you colored. So our last color is 507, and this is a deep ultramarine violet, I think is what it is. And I just want you to be able to see what the colors are. Ooh, that's a pretty color. And then a little bit of water. Clean my brush, it's got too much green in it. These markers are not afraid of water. And do they blend together? You bet they do. And because you can refill them, that makes them even a bigger value because they're not a one and done marker. They're not alcohol based. And they are very, very forgiving. Oh, I got some. I'm just going to go in and fix that. I got a little water over there. I'm just going to go in and fix it. Look at that. I just fixed it. I love that. I love that you have options with these. I love that they play well together. I love that you can make magic happen without being an artist. And that speaks to the quality of the product. When the quality of the product is so high that you look good without having any specific talent or skill level, that's what we're going for. I might turn this into mud. Want more color. Oh, too much water. Too much water. All right, well, I tried. I've got too much water going on. I keep desaturating it. And the more I add, the more I desaturate. All right, there we go. So 1, 2, 3. They're easy to use. They are. So let me right on them so you know. This one is 601. This one is 602. And this one is 507. And those are the 3 colors that I missed the first time around. So now you can see all the colors that are available, open stock, that aren't in any of the sets that we've done. So I'm going to incorporate those in, and now we're going to play a little bit. So I brought out a stamp from Indigo Blue, and I thought this would be a good stamp to play with so you can see some of the unique ways that the markers can be used. Now, this is perforated, so if I wanted to fold it on the perforation, I could then take off that edge. I just don't have necessarily, although that wasn't so bad, I don't necessarily have the patience for it, so I generally just go like that to cut it off. Let me clean off my gel plate. And let's play with the stamp for just a little bit. So we know markers, at least in the paper crafting world, we know markers, dye-based markers, as markers that you can then color your stamp up with. And then you do a little bit of a huff on them, and then you can stamp. The Ecolines are a little bit different because they are a different caliber of marker, a different quality of marker. I still can go in there and color everything up, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's take yep, that color's good. I'm going to go ahead and using the side of my marker, not the point. I'm not using the tip. I'm using the side of my marker. I'm going to add ink to almost my entire stamp in this yellow. So I'm going to leave I think I'm going to leave the top flowers kind of without an ink, but I'm going to do basically the whole stamp in this yellow. And it doesn't hurt the marker. I'm just going in on its side. And then I'm going to come in with my green. And I'm going to go over the top of that yellow with my green. And I'm just kind of going to be willy-nilly about it. I'm not going to necessarily think about it or try really hard. I'm just going to add my green, and that green is going to start to blend with my yellow on my stamp. Before I even do anything, it's going to start to mix. And then I might come in with an orange for some of my stamp, my top flowers here. And maybe I come in with a pink. And maybe a teal. Now typically we would do this and then we would come in and we'd kind of huff, meaning that you bring the stamp up to and add some breath onto it. And generally that will reactivate the ink if you are using a typical marker from paper crafting. We are not. So even if I huff on it, because it took me a while to get all my colors down, when I stamp with it, that's kind of the impression you're going to get. So even if you go and you give a good huff, okay, even if you go, oh, that's a lot of me. Hello, let's back that up just a wee bit. Even if you go and you give a good, it's still going to stamp kind of like this, and that's not what we're going for. These are not that marker. These are different. Nothing wrong with that marker. Marvy has them, Tombow has them. These are not the same. If I was quick about my coloring, let's say if I was quick about my coloring, I could have just turned it right over and gotten an image. Let's see if I can do it and be a little quicker about it and see if I can get a better image. So I started with, I'm just going to use, well, I'll use this one so we can go side to side and see what I get. Put my paper down, and I'll use my yellow because that's what I started with. And I'll try to be a little bit faster. And a little bit faster means a little bit more willy-nilly with my coloring, and I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to get some color down. And then I brought in my green. Get all my stems, add it to my yellow. And then maybe a little bit of my teal here. And my orange here. And my pink here. And now I've definitely moved a little faster. Let's see if I stamp what I get. And I'm not going to huff, I'm just going to stamp. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and up. Much better. So being a little faster gets you a much different result. And they're pretty, and they're blended, and they're lovely. But what if I wanted to have that real kind of watercolory look to it? Just a real pretty watercolory look. Let's go and add my color. Now I'm not going to clean my stamp, and you will see on some of my markers while this is a yellow marker, you can see that my nib is stained a different color. That's because I've been blending with it. Once your marker goes true, your color, it doesn't matter what your nib has on it. It doesn't matter what colors are there. Eventually, if I were to, let's do this one just to show. Say I add my dark green for my green first. And then I come in with my yellow second. You'll see that my marker has picked up some of that green. And you'll see that green in that color. In fact, you can make beautiful colors by doing tip-to-tip blending. But once that green is out of my nib, the ink runs true. So you don't have to worry about ruining your nibs or mixing colors. They're all gonna play really well together. I don't think this is the same color I used. I'm just laying down color. And I don't really want to think too much about it. I want the colors to be beautifully blended, and I want the colors, the markers themselves, to do all the work. And I'm always using the side of the marker. Now I can bring my paper over, and because I want a little bit of a watercolory look, I can mist my paper. 1, 2, maybe 2. And then put my stamp right down and let it sit there for a minute. Give a nice press, but let that water and that ink have time to kind of play together. And then I start to have a really watercolory looking type finish. It's not as sharp as this one because there was no water. It's more of that watercolory blended finish. Let's clean the stamp and we'll do it again. I'm just using a baby wipe to clean. And a paper towel to dry. And let's do it again. I've got my mixed media paper, and I need it to be a paper that has some kind of sizing so that water that I spritz on stays on top long enough for me to add the ink and then lift. Okay. So let's go in. And again with my side. And please don't think you have to be careful. Not with where you're putting the color. I always start with a yellow, kind of as a base color. That way, if for some reason I miss somewhere on the stamp with another color, I know at least I've got some yellow down there. And I just go in. And then instead of huffing, I'm going to put my paper down. I'm going to give my paper just a mist or two. 1, 2. And then I'm going to come in and lay my stamp down. You may, with your mister, it might be just one little spritz. And give it a second to make good contact. That's the benefit of using a jelly plate, is that not only does your paper not move, but you get really good contact between your stamp and your paper because it's got some gush to it. And now I moved it, but now I'm coming up with even just this beautiful watercolor image. I got a little bit up there that I don't want. I'm going to come in clean my brush. And let's see if I can erase some of that. So I got a little bit on the top that I'm just not wanting. I'm just going to add some water to it. And just kind of erase it. Now you can't do that with most pens. These have a true gum Arabic binder. I've got that watercolory look going on versus straight from the stamp, letting it sit a little bit too long so it dries. Straight from the stamp, going a little bit faster, and then these two using a mister. And I'm sure that this still has stuff on it. And I'll do one more and then we'll move on. So I'm just going to wipe it down with a baby wipe. I'm not going to dry it. I'm just going to wipe it down. And go in and color. Now look at how fast. I mean, I'm just laying it down. Give my paper a mist. 1, 2. I could mist my stamp if I want, but that tends to make it, I would do definitely a less misting because it commingles those colors much faster if you mist right onto your stamp. And I've got that really beautiful watercolory look. So what if I want to change my background? What if I want my beautiful watercolory look? I just want it on something that's not so creamy white. I want more of a color to the background. Well, that's super easy too. What if I take my marker and I can either, well, let's do a light one. Let's do the beige. We'll do the beige and we'll do maybe the blue. So because the beige is so light, I can go directly to my paper. I mean, it's really just a beautiful little background color, just so that it's not so stark. and I'm just scribbling on it. But now I can take my Fusion paintbrush, go in and just smooth all of that out. Just smooth it all out. The paper is not afraid of water. The markers are not afraid of water. And it gives me something that's slightly darker. If I wanted to go back in and add, I could add a little more color if I want. But now I've got a whole piece of paper that's wet. Bring over my stamp. I'm always a girl who likes to start with a yellow. So maybe you're not a watercolorist. I'm not a watercolorist. But this gives you that imperfect, beautiful watercolor look without doing most of the work. We're letting the ink and the water do all the work for us. It just doesn't get any simpler. I've got my paper that is already damp. So maybe I just give it one mist because it's already damp. And let's see what we get. So pretty. So pretty and so easy, and it looks like you took your paintbrush and you dabbed all of it. In fact, if you wanted to even be more watercolory, you can take one of your Fusion paintbrushes, not with all of that color in it. Oh no, you can't. Take one of your Fusion paintbrushes and go in and add a little bit more water if you want it to have just a little bit more watercolory look to it. You're not painting it, you're just kind of adding that water and letting that water sit. So I'm not trying to paint with the water, I'm trying to dab the water on and then just kind of letting it sit. So it adds even a bigger watercolory look to it. But everything's all blended together. So pretty. But what if we didn't want something so plain on our background? What if I wanted to take a blue? So I'm putting my blue right on my palette, my tear-off palette. And then I'm going to add a little water to it. And make it into a wash. And then come in. But what if I make it too dark? Oh, there we go. What if I accidentally have it too dark? What do? Not a problem. just add more water. And then you can go in and with a baby wipe, pick up some of that color, giving yourself a fabulous looking background with the highs and the lows. That looks good. Can you mix in another color? I could. So now I've got my yellows happening right here. And I add some water. Maybe I add a little bit of yellow to it. And now I'm blending the two colors. And then I come back with my baby wipe. And it's beautiful and it's easy and you're creating your own background paper. Oh, that's the wrong color. You can go in and add until your heart's content. And as long as you've got paper that's got good sizing to it, not the size of the paper, but how long it lets that openness stay for you to pull up color. So now I've got a beautiful background piece. And then I can come in and once again take my stamp and ink it up. Not with an ink pad, but with a fine art watercolor marker. Always using the side, never the tip, always the side. This is coloring and stamping without all the hard work. Blend those two colors. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, and because my paper is already kind of damp, give one mist. Flip it over and let's see what we get. And again, such a beautiful watercolory image with that beautiful background that we used a baby wipe to do. These markers are easy. They're easy because of the quality. Start with a better quality, get a better finished result. Start with a better quality, have more options in what you can do. They're not like a marker that you huff on. That's not what these are. Marvy does that. Tombows will do that. These are Ecoline Royal Talens brush tip pens, brush tip markers, and the uses for them go on and on and on. I kept it really simple today. Look at how pretty that is. And that's with that beigey background versus the lighter background. Look at how beautiful they are. And all of them a little bit different. This one was pretty much stamped straight down. All of them a little bit different, and yet all of them equally as beautiful. And it's the markers and the paper that give you that result that is so lovely. So lovely. So last week, I showed you 14 colors that are available, only open stock, not in any of the, I want you to see, so 14 colors that are available only, well 17. Here's the first 14 that I showed you last week, because somehow I missed 3. But here are the 3 from this week, and look at how dreamy those colors are. They're beautiful. And what they create is magic. And for our price, when they're on sale at $3.99 a marker, that is well within the range of what a paper crafting marker would be, and yet these are they're just superior in quality. So 601, 602, and 507 are the 3 new. And I have an I Want It All just for those 3 colors. So if you wanted all 17 and you haven't gotten any of them yet, you would do the 2 I Want It Alls. Where's my other one? It's that one. These are the 3 new colors, or the 3 colors I didn't do last week. So this week we stamped with them and kept it simple, but I wanted that watercolory look, and I wanted you to see just how easy making your own background paper can be. Super fast, super easy. Next week we are getting way more technical. We're really amping it up for the last 2 weeks, doing things that, well, I didn't know were possible until I started to play and until I started to learn. Look at how pretty these colors are. So Ecoline Brush Tip Markers. It is lovely to be able to play with product that is so stunning, but it's also lovely to say they're $3.99 a marker when they're on sale. That give you so many different options and so many different ways to use them. All right, you guys. So week 2, I kept it pretty simple. Wanted to show you those other 3 markers, but wanted to show you how just a little bit of mist on a paper, watercolor paper, a mixed media paper, anything that's got sizing to it, so that, oh, I forgot this one more, so that when you put your liquid on it, if it goes right in, that paper doesn't have any sizing to it. If you put liquid or ink on it and go just like that, no sizing. You want to find a paper that gives you opportunity. And the Van Gogh mixed media paper does that. Watercolor paper does that. Just really lovely. And then the stamp we have is from Indigo Blue, so we'll put that as part of this week as well. But next week, get ready, because we're going to go next week and the week after. We're really just amping it up just a little bit more and doing things that, again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do that with this. Some of it I figured out. Some of it, my mentor, Jeff, was like, hey, have you ever tried So we're going to give it a whirl, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed January's In the Studio with Stacy classes, going back and revisiting Ecoline markers and just what they can do. I will also be using them in this week's Saturday with Stacy YouTube class. Pretty sure I'm using them this week. Might use them next week as well. This week's Saturday class, I'm using Lisa Horton, her embossing folders, and I might use them in there too. We'll have to wait and see. So it's me, Stacy, here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com, saying, hey everybody, welcome to the 2026 In the Studio with Stacy class. It is now on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. sunny California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Where can you get all of this great product? Easy peasy. You can find it globally in fine art stores. You can walk in and say, hey, do you have Ecoline watercolor markers? And they'll direct you into the place. There's beautiful fine art stores all over the world. But if you don't have an independent brick and mortar store to walk into, well, we're here for you. Scrapbookingmadesimple.com. And yes, if you are local, you can come into the store. In fact, this weekend, and we have just, I think, 2 spaces open for each. No, we have 1 space open for the Fine Tech class, and I think 2 spaces open for the acrylics class. Jeff, my mentor, is flying in to teach 2 classes this weekend here at Scrapbooking Made Simple. The classes are on Sunday, so if you are a local peep and you want to come play with beautiful product, you bring nothing, you walk in, and we have it all taken care of for you. I think you will enjoy both of these classes. So call the shop, because we are still a brick and mortar that you can walk into, see, feel, touch, and have us show you. All right, you guys, the next time I see you will be Thursday for our New For You event. I have got the most cutest things from Katie Sue. Oh, they're darling. So join me Thursday, 5 p.m. sunny California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Scrapbooking Made Simple YouTube channel. New For You is where we bring you the latest, the greatest from your favorite paper crafting manufacturers, all value priced from the get-go. So until then, everybody, thanks for hanging. Thanks for being part of the live chat, and I'll see you soon. Bye.